it's hardly news by now that the Xbox One launch was, well, a bit rocky, shall we say. Of course, there was plenty of pre-launch criticisms, and of course the number of features that were eventually cut from the machine, including the always-on requirements and the DRM policy, and things getting furthermore complicated by Don Mattrick being, well, Don Mattrick. And apparently, according to the original Xbox boss, Robbie Bach, these criticisms and problems that the Xbox One faced were both predictable and preventable. And he said, while speaking to GeekWire, quote, "I think I have two thoughts. The first is, gosh, I think some of that was predictable and preventable. If I'm just honest, I would say that. These console competitions last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I think it shows in the marketplace today. I think Xbox One has put almost all of that behind itself. They've got a great holiday lineup. They're gaining share and volume. The amazing thing is the console market is bigger now than it's ever been before. Both companies are selling more units." However, he did go on to stress that although, of course, the Xbox One had a bit of a stumbling block at the start, perhaps losing some of the momentum it gained from the Xbox 360, he did stress that the Xbox Live service is only getting stronger. And he went on to say, quote, "You would have liked to see them do more with the momentum we had. On the other hand, look at what's going on with Xbox Live. Incredible momentum on Xbox Live. I think it's a balance thing. I could also say that the team did what they needed to do. They persevered through a rocky patch and are now on the path to making this a very competitive market." Now, of course, the old line is, of course, hindsight is 2020. It's very easy to sit there and look back at things that have already happened and said, yeah, you could have prevented that. Regardless of whether or not we could have prevented it, there's no denying that Phil Spencer has turned it around massively. Don Mattrick, well, he left a bit of a mess, to say the least. I think that's a bit of an understatement, to be honest. The mess was pretty damn huge, and he made it worse by making various comments, such as, say, we can't just turn the DRM off, and then proceeded to turn it off, maybe a couple of weeks later at the most, if I remember correctly. And then Phil Spencer has just helped things by being pretty sensible, and actually taken the Xbox One in the direction that you could argue it should have taken from the beginning. And you can maybe even argue that if they had done so, it might be more successful. Not to say that it isn't successful, because obviously it is hugely successful, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the stumbling block was obviously pretty big, and I think Microsoft would have rather not dealt with that. So they've dealt with it as best they could, though, regardless of whether or not they could have prevented it, and Phil Spencer was obviously the exactly right man for the job. Regardless of all that, thank you very much for watching. Do let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you next time.